Hi, everybody. JB here again with my series, Did You Ever Wonder? Today's episode is Did You Ever Wonder About Fayetteville's Old Schools? This is episode 17 in my series. In this opening slide, you can see a artist rendering of the new Fayetteville High School, which opened back on Stone Street back in 1952. This drawing is from 62. So that's just my slide there. So in the pre-Civil War days, way back, we didn't have public schools yet. They had private schools. There were subscription schools primarily. A lot of them were taught in homes, and but there were some bigger ones like we've talked about before in my video, Sophia Sawyer's Fayetteville Female Seminary, artwork here by William Cushenberry, Bill Cush, and there were a number of these around town, and in addition to the private instruction. One thing to remember back in the pre-Civil War days is it was illegal to educate enslaved people. So the enslaved people, the black children and grown-ups, had no education whatsoever till the Civil War ended. And immediately after the Civil War ended in 1866, the American Missionary Society came to Fayetteville and started Henderson School, then built this building here that you see in this picture. And it was the first public school in Fayetteville. Its original name was Mission School for Negro Only. And that's why you have Mission Boulevard out there, where at Lafayette and Fletcher and Olive. Anyway, the building here, Henderson School, here's another picture of it from 1926 with students and teachers in the building in the background. It operated until the mid-30s. It's located on Olive Avenue, and it's still there. Back in the 1940s, it was converted into a home, and it's still there on Olive today. And I like to drive by there, and it was incorporated into a home. And I like to drive by there as often as I can down Olive and look at and see that there's a history. There's old Henderson School. Okay, in this era, keep in mind, this is the era of Jim Crow. And so all the schools I'm going to talk about were for the white kids in town only. Because the Henderson School, if things were segregated, and that's where the black kids went to Henderson. Anyway, so the first three, I'm just going to bring them all up here. The first three of these schools, excuse me, are Washington School, 1885 North Side. Now, all three of these were built by Albert M. Burns. You heard me talk about him before. He's a really important builder here in town. Now, a couple of items on each of these things. The first Washington School faced at Lafayette to the south. The one now faced east on Highland Avenue, but the original one faced out that way. Now, the original Jefferson was down as you go down Church out of the square down towards South Street, where it tees just to the left, to the southeast. There's a building there now, and they're working on it. That was where the original Jefferson School was. That's built in 1890 by Mr. Burns. And this is the best picture I can give you of the original Leverett School, built in 1899 by Mr. Burns. This is an actual football game at the University of Arkansas. It's really kind of out there where the mall is. Anyway, if you can look in the background, you can see some idea of what the old school looked like, the old Leverett. So next on the schools, I'm trying to go through a little faster. There's a lot of information. I don't want the video to go too long. This is the old Fayetteville High School on Schools Avenue, just past Center Street, between Center and Meadow, and on the west side of the street. 1908, built by Albert Burns, and the north and south annexes were built by E.V. Bird Construction in 1925, 1927. I think I've mentioned that before somewhere. And I always talk about that gigantic study hall up on the third floor. It was an amazing building. It's gone now, been replaced by the Hillcrest Towers, which I'm not going to show you a picture of. And over by Fayetteville High on Stone Street, almost directly across from Fayetteville High, their Fayetteville High School admin building. It's actually the original West Side School for the kids in that neighborhood, built in 1923 by the Wages brothers. I went in there one time and told them that nobody in there had any idea that they were inside the old West Side School. So it's nearly forgotten. When you go by there, take a look at it. And there she blows. 1923, still there. Now, the next we get to the new Washington, built in 1930, 1931 by E.V. Bird, still active today. And we get to the new Jefferson, 2931, E.V. Bird construction. It stopped being a school a few years ago, an adult education center from 2013. A couple of items to point out here. Look how similar these buildings are. I didn't realize until I was looking at them. They're almost identical. And I wanted to point out, see these windows I'm pointing at right up here? These windows I'm pointing, that's my fourth grade class, Mrs. McCandless, super nice lady. I like to joke as the fourth grade might have been my peak in life. It's been downhill ever since. Had a really good fourth grade year. Okay, here's a couple more. Okay, so Henderson finally closed. They built the WPA, Works Progress Administration. They built a new school. Again, keep in mind, excuse me, that we're still segregated. And this is Lincoln School. It's on the corner of Willow and Center Street on the southeast corner of Willow, kind of on the corner where the projects are now. In those days, the black kids, there was no high school for them. So they had to go out to another town. And the Fayetteville School District paid for the kid from 1947, anyway, 47 on, paid for the kids to go to Fort Smith or Hot Springs to high school. So that's the reality of our segregated past. Anyway, Lincoln School finally closed in 1965. It was demolished in the 70s. Now the new Leverett, which is over there at Garland and Cleveland, was built in 39 by E.V. Bird and is still active like Washington is. I was going to do the personal thing. I went to Leverett first grade and half of the second grade. I went to half of the second grade and third and fourth at Jefferson. And I'll get to the next one in a minute. We moved a lot. So anyway, this is still active and there's Leverett School. Okay, and there's Bates School. It was built in 1951 to replace the West Side School. And that's where I spent my fifth and sixth grades. I was a crossing guard, by the way, right there at it's what now MLK and Buchanan. It was the big intersection. So it was a big shot. Anyway, it was demolished in 2012 when they did the really big renovation of Fayetteville High. And so here's the new Fayetteville High, which came into existence in 1952 and went through an extensive remodeling in 2012. Back in 1954, most of you are aware, the Fayetteville High integrated, one of the earliest ones in the South, and without incident, they integrated. The junior high was integrated by 1957, and the grade schools finally by 1965. And then the last two here that I have for you are the most, well, these are schools up to 1960, basically. And Root School from 1955, opened in 55, still active today. Woodland Junior High School, 1959, to Ewing Shelton, also active today. Look at them, see how similar they are, that Ewing Shelton designed that type of building for the schools. They're very, very similar. I think we talked about before, in 1959, Fayetteville Junior High split, and when Woodland opened, and the old Fayetteville Junior High became Hillcrest Junior High. That was in my ninth grade, 1959. And I think I've covered all that ground. I hope I covered everything I wanted to. That's a fast one because there was a lot of info. Anyway, so that was, did you ever wonder about Fayetteville's old schools and the schools built before 1960? So now, if I can get the system to work, which it looks like it's going to, I'll give you my farewell. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it very much. Hope you find it somewhat entertaining and informational. And I will see you soon. Goodbye for now.